Welcome to the Michigan Football Junkies podcast. I'm Jeremy Miller, and we'll have Marcus Denton on here soon. First, we're going to go through a couple things, little tidbits on the Michigan front. We have Jyaire Hill, who has parted ways with Michigan, making room for the return of Chris Partridge.
It's the return of the... Oh, wait, you're kidding. He didn't just say what I think he did he?
This is a huge addition on the recruiting front. He has several 5-stars, including Rashawn Gary, Dax Hill, Chris Hinton, Aubrey Solomon, which nobody thought we were getting Aubrey Solomon out of Georgia. He ended up not being anything, but it's still a big get. This isn't even counting the numerous 4-stars, Cesar Ruiz, Ambry Thomas, Trenty Jones, Cam McGrone, Josh Ross, Makari Page, R.J. Moten, Brandt Hawkins, David Ajabo, Devin Bush, DJ Turner, Kalik Hudson. This is just a few of the many players he's got at Michigan. That's not even counting the players he got at Ole Miss, including Igabansan, who went to Ohio State. We were trying to get him as a transfer from Ole Miss, the soon-to-be sophomore corner that we could have really used, and he ended up going to Ohio State. He got him too. This is a huge pickup for Michigan as far as on the recruiting front. As far as the coaching aspect of it.
Hello, Coach. Really glad you decided.
Shut up. Just shut up. You had me at coach.
I don't know that you could say Jyaire Hill or Chris Partridge is better than one than the other. Chris Partridge obviously has a little bit more experience, especially now having the defensive coordinator position that he's been at for Ole Miss. You know, maybe he's got a little bit more knowledge when it comes to that aspect, but overall, I wouldn't say that Jyaire Hill or Chris Partridge is that much better as far as on the coaching aspect. Recruiting, that's completely different. Chris Partridge is one of the best recruiters in this country. Sherrone Moore is now the full offensive coordinator. The co has been taken off. Obviously, Matt Weiss is no longer here. And on that aspect, Matt Weiss, we still have not found out exactly what he did, but we found out why he was fired. So Matt Weiss, after everything happened, they put him on leave, and then Ward Manuel said, hey, we want to sit down and talk. Come in on the 19th, January 19th. That was also the day he was fired.
You're fired!
Right, I mean, I already quit, so...
No, you're fired. I write the book, okay? Here's how it went down. You walked in, you're fired.
He was supposed to come in and speak to Ward Manuel, and my guess is discuss what happened, where they want to go from here. He never showed. Since he never showed, that, in most people's eyes, and including mine, that says, hey, I'm guilty. I did it. I know I did. I'm going to get fired once you find out that you know that I did, so I'm not even showing up. That's my take on it. It could be something different because, like I said, I'm just guessing at it. I only have the news that I just gave you, and that's how I'm reading it. It's probably not going to be that much longer before something pops off and we actually find out what actually happened. It was something with emails, but we'll find out more later on. One of the recruits that we have that I kind of went on and on about in this last podcast, Nathan Avabi. He has got some big gains. He is now up to 298 pounds. He had a phenomenal senior year. He's all-state in track. I believe he does shot put. So, and this is also, I believe, 7A Georgia football or Georgia athletics. I mean, that guy, I'm telling you, keep that name in the back of your head. He's going to do something here at Michigan. Another player making significant gains is Amir Kumba. He's the edge player from France. He is now up to 248 pounds with only a 9.7% body fat. This, along with the 7'1" wingspan, makes it seem like it's going to be something really nice for Michigan in the next year or so. Well, we have our last part of our recruiting series coming up. one of the things we are going to get to in this offseason, something a little fun, I thought we could do something with a what-if series. What if Terrell Pryor came to Michigan instead of Ohio State? What if Lloyd Carr left 2 years earlier when he wanted to retire and they begged him to stay? Who'd we got to replace him? I don't think it would have been Rich Rodriguez. I think that's kind of the premise there. You know, what if we got that recruit we were in on? Now, we're not going to go with, what if we got Bill Belichick to replace Lloyd Carr? That's not realistic. Let's keep it something somewhat realistic, something that was actually a possibility of happening, and then it just didn't go our way. You can email those in to footballjunkies.podcast@gmail.com. You can text them in at 567-343-1211. You can also call that number and I'll let it go to voicemail, and you can leave a voicemail of your what if story. Or you can comment on our YouTube channel, which is at Michigan Football Junkies on YouTube. The best ones that I like, I'll put on the podcast and we'll discuss them. Maybe we'll dive a little bit down the rabbit hole and where would we be? And I'd like to maybe throw one out here and there. Maybe we do one per podcast here and there. And it doesn't have to be like a whole show of it. Now we're going to bring on Mr. Marcus Denton. Marcus, how are you doing today?
Just fine, sir. Good afternoon. I'm looking forward to another awesome show, man.
Yeah, these are always fun. All right.
Yeah,
well,
they are.
First up, we have Jyaire Hill. He's cornerback, 6'2", 170. Now, there are some different times as far as for his speed. He has self-reported that he has ran a 4.44 40. Electronically timed, he ran a 4.59. You know,
Of course.
with Jyaire Hill, I'll tell you right now, in my opinion, I have no clue how this guy is outside the top 100. It's insane. It's hard to find things that you don't like about Jyaire Hill. He was on the track team. He was part of 2 relays to win state, and he was all-state in the long jump. He is a phenomenal athlete. Unless there is a great talent in the transfer portal after spring, I think Jyaire will compete for the starting role. I think he has a really good shot at starting or being in the 2 deep. He has speed, change of direction, acceleration, and instincts. He's electric with the ball in his hands. He's a dog. He wants it more than everybody else. That's the one thing I can say about Jyaire. He wants it more.
Well, I tell you, he is someone, you said speed on speed on speed. He has great hands, very athletic, like you were saying. He can play the corner or safety. He's what I heard, he's a track guy. So, I mean, he's one of those guys that's a blazer, and one of those ones, like you said, that he really wants it. He's also what I call a ball hawk. I mean, he really goes after it. There's nothing bad that you can say about this kid. But yeah, I don't understand how you said either that he fell out of the top 100. It boggles my mind, but either way, I'm glad he's a Michigan Wolverine.
I think he is probably our best prospect in this out of all the recruits. I'm really excited about him, and having Jyaire Hill on one side and Will Johnson on the other. That could be huge, and
still good.
Absolutely. And going to that starting ETA time, the estimated time of starting, I have 2023. Yeah, it could be Jaden McBurrows. It could be, Cam Calhoun. It could be several different people, but Jyaire Hill, I'm not counting that guy out. I just believe in him, and I think that you're going to see him on the field a good amount. He may not start right out of the gates, but you may see something like Will Johnson.
That's not a far off assessment. Yeah, he's one of those guys that could really come in early and do some damage there. So I agree. as the starting time. I think it's going to be early, in my opinion. I mean, when you have that type of talent and have that type of athleticism, it's really hard not to put something like that on display early.
Yeah. So tell us a little something about
yes.
Semaj Morgan, another backwards James.
Well, interesting first name. Well, this young man, from what I saw from him, great ball skills. He's really fast. His 4.5 40 time. I guess it could be disputed a little bit. He reminds me a lot of AJ Henning. He puts me in that mind frame. 61 receptions, over 1,000 yards total with kick returning, and that 14 total touchdowns. So I mean, he's a gamer, and he fits right into the mold of those slot guys that Michigan tends to recruit, guys that are, how you say, change of pace type, that you can do some really good scheming with. So yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I do too. By the way, Semaj Morgan is 5'11", 180, and
okay.
He's not the biggest guy in the world, but I'll tell you
Right.
what, he runs through contact. He stays low. He's really good at shedding blocks. When you watch him run, he kind of looks like a running back. He's very technically sound in his route running. And the one thing that I'd say, Semaj is not the biggest guy. He's not the fastest guy. He's not going to run a 4.2 40. But what he does do very well, and that's get in and out of his breaks fast. He has a very good cutting ability where he takes less steps to slow down. He speeds up very fast. And I think acceleration and deceleration are two of the biggest things to create separation. You don't have to be 4.3 to get open. You just need to get in and out of your breaks fast. And Semaj looks like he has some better deep speed, watching him on tape than he did in his junior year, and as well as in, camps during one-on-ones. But he also has a good catch radius and a little bit better ball skills than someone I comped him to, and that was Mike Sandmerstill. I think he kind of looks like him. Just gets in and out of his breaks more, or a little faster, and I think he has a little better catch radius.
Well, that goes with the feet. If anyone listening that's been following this whole thing, that I'm a big stickler on good feet. And he's one that real choppy, can really go, and he has good hips. So yeah. Yeah, that's definitely something. Where do you project him for his starting, when he's going to get that major time?
I'm looking at 2025, and the reason why I have that is partially because of the depth chart. We do still have a lot of receivers, and we have some other ones that a lot of people, I think, just flat out forget about, like Christian Dixon. We've got some receivers there that we're bringing in. Marion Walker, he might be moving over to cornerback, but right now he's still listed as a wide receiver as well. It all depends. I mean, he may come out of spring camp and be like, you know what? I'm a wide receiver because I know I can get on the field this year. So that's where I have him. I had him at 2025.
Well, you know what? 2025, again, is not a bad assessment. I would probably say 2024, only because of the fact that for that darn transfer portal thing, you have some guys that may become, discontent. We do have a lot of receivers and a lot of depth at that position. So I think that you might find some that always seem to kind of peek over the fence a bit and try to, go find greener pastures, so to speak. So for that fact, I think maybe 2024. It just depends. Yeah,
okay. I can see that. Yeah. I mean, you never know when transfer portal is going to hit. So next up, we have Zack Marshall. He's a tight end. He's 6'4", 230 pounds. I did find a 40 for him at 4.79. Zach didn't have the greatest senior year due to a transfer rule in California that makes a player sit out the first 4 games. In his junior year, Zach had 44 receptions for over 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns. He's an athletic tight end who played receiver for the first 2 years, and he just got big. He kept getting bigger, so obviously he had to transition over to tight end. He's got good hands, and if you look at his highlights, 1 minute and 35 seconds into his senior tape, you'll see him with a really nice one-handed grab, made it look just absolutely effortless.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's more of a receiver at this point, but he has blocked, and he will be coached up at Michigan. So I actually look at Zach, and I'm very interested in him just to see what how fast he can come on, how fast he gets coached up and gets up to speed.
Yeah.
He's obviously going to have to put on a little bit more muscle to handle some of the bigger blockers in the Big Ten versus California high school football. But
exactly,
he's got some time. He's got time.
Yeah. He's one of those young men that, again, strike me he's a 3-star, which, again, something I scratch my head for. He is one of those guys, and I absolutely love the way we recruit these tight ends that can play, they could play on outside, inside, those type of athletic guys. And he fits right in that mold of that. And for me, he's a good route runner. He definitely alluded to what you said, that going with the one-handed catch. He catches well in traffic. He's not one of those guys who shies away from contact, which is a beautiful thing. So I definitely see, I'm very interested, as you are, to see exactly where he's going to actually grade out to be. Yeah, that's going to be something. It's going to be something special, though. I believe that.
Well, I have him as the estimated time to start. I have it at 2026. And, when you think about the fact that we have Colson, we have Klein, we have Hebner, we have Marshall, and also in this same one, we also have Deacon Tonielli. So there's a lot of tight ends there. Now, we use a lot of tight ends, obviously, and you'll see guys get brought out there as a fullback, as tight ends. We like to utilize them. And I could see him seeing the field before then, but starting, I'm guessing 2026 just because of our depth and where everybody else is at.
Yeah, I'm right on the line there with you for the 2026. I think that's pretty accurate when it comes to him. Just as you alluded to, the depth and everything that comes with that, it's going to be kind of hard for him to see the field early. But that's a good thing. And plus, because he's going to get a chance to really learn and as you said earlier, coach him up, man, and make him ready to get out there, because he's definitely going to be used. Michigan does. I haven't seen many tight ends from Michigan that have not been utilized. Like you said, multiple tight ends sometimes. So, yeah.
Next up, we have Mr. Evan Link. He's an offensive tackle. He is 6'6", 305 pounds. What did you see when you watched him on tape?
Oh. Mr. Evan Link. First off, love the last name. I mean, he said Link. That's awesome. Again, from what I saw, he's a strong kid. The first thing that came to me was this little thing. I thought, okay, he's a pancake king. And what I mean by that is this young man, very active feet. He's really, 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 really nasty. And he's looking to hit someone. And I mean, just the attitude. I mean, just a bull. I mean, you said someone that's blowing up the lines. I mean, he just running through everyone. And he's one of those guys, you saw more people put on the ground by him than standing upright. And also, a little side note, he wore number 77. So we understand that number, what it means through the past years of being a Michigan lineman. Like, a lot of greats have worn 77. So we'll see.
Absolutely. And the other thing I like about Evan is right up there as one of our best prospects in this recruiting cycle. He played in one of the toughest leagues in this country. It really helps playing in that type of against that type of competition constantly, because it's not as big of a jump. It's not like he started from a Class C school in Upper Michigan, and now he's coming to play, against the Big Ten. You need time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to be that big of a jump for Evan, I don't think, because when you come from better competition, it's just a little easier. So,
yeah.
Harbor.
Testing.
I did see him. I did see him go against Nicholas Harbor this season, and Evan Link held his own against him. Harbor did get him a little bit with a speed to power bull rush that knocked him right on his butt the one time, and he got a half sack. It is one thing that to have an athlete like Harbor go against Link and Link to hold his own, that's pretty good. Now, Link does need to get down a little bit more. He's 6'6", and obviously in high school, he overpowers 99% of the people he goes against. So he does need to get down in the stance and not stand up so tall where people can get underneath his pads, because that was one of the things that Harbor did. He got right underneath his pads and he was done.
Mm-hmm.
Link was done.
Great technique, man. Yeah.
I think Evan's going to be a really good tackle here. I think he's going to start for 2 to 3 years. It just depends on whether he wants to come out after 2 years of starting or he wants to come back for a third. That's how good Evan Link is to me. I think he's going to start in 2025.
You are right. Yeah, I agree with that. 2025. 2025, maybe 2024, depends on how fast he comes along. Again, he's already had, when you say you play against that upper level competition, it's easier to step in and really, have that motor to go. So it would be very interesting to see exactly where he grades out at. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with being excited about this young man. He's going to do big things.
Now we're getting over to a legacy. Well, I don't know. Is it a legacy when it's your brother? Probably not, right?
In some cases, yeah, it could be. In this one, I believe so.
We're going to a family commit. How about that? A little bit better?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right. Kendrick Bell. He's a quarterback / athlete. He's 6'3", 180 pounds. As a senior, he set school records with 3,228 yards passing, 45 total touchdowns, 35 through the air, and 10 on the ground. He is pretty athletic. A lot of people thought he was going to get moved to a different position with us not getting a quarterback for the 2023 cycle. They said, you know what? He's going to play he's going to start out at quarterback. Now, he did rush for 680 yards. I'm not sure that Kendrick Bell is ever going to be a starter at Michigan as a quarterback. He may be. Anything can happen.
Mm-hmm.
But in my opinion, I don't know that he's going to be that guy. Is he going to change positions or is he going to transfer? I'm almost there. I hate having to say that about a recruit. I don't see him starting at Michigan.
He's a very interesting prospect, actually. I mean, he's the athletic side. He's off the charts with his athleticism. What he does well is he's able to move out of the pocket. He does a lot of things a little notch up. He's one of those, I'm not going to say gadget recruits, but he can find a niche somewhere. I agree. I don't see him starting at Michigan. But because of the love for Michigan, he wanted to come to Michigan because of his brother, even though his brother's going on to the NFL. I think he'll stick around. I see a position change for him. I do. He has the frame to be he could be a corner or receiver, any of that. But I do see him staying at Michigan. But I agree with you totally. I don't see him starting. I do see a position change for him.
And that's too bad because Ronnie has been one of the best people at Michigan. No, he hasn't had
class act.
Yeah, absolutely. He hasn't had a Charles Woodson career, but who has other than Charles? But it's still, you're talking about a guy who has been he was primed and ready to have a breakout senior year and looked phenomenal. And then he got hurt. So what did he do? He became a coach basically. So it was nice. It's really nice seeing Kendrick Bell get on campus. I'm sure his brother's going to be back here and talking to him a bunch, but I'm guessing safety if he stays and changes his positions. I'm guessing safety is where he'll go. That's just my guess.
Yeah, well, you're spot on with that. So I see the same for him. I see him back there playing safety, corner safety. Yeah, definitely, sir.
Next up, we have Roderick Pierce, but he's actually going by Trey now. So Trey Pierce, he's a defensive lineman, 6'2", 290 pounds. What'd you think when you watched Mr. Trey Pierce?
Attitude, nastiness as a D tackle, 4-star kid. Should have been 5. That's just my opinion. First, that he has a great nose. Again, I say he has a great nose for the ball because he does. He's one of those guys. He's like a heat-seeking missile. I like the fact that he's more talented than I believe the tape showed because of just the fact that he's able just to move like he does. He's really light on his feet. And he's one of those guys, man, that will just totally take your head off and will not apologize for it. And that's what you need these times with these recruits, man. You need someone that could get in there and just really be a bull about a situation. Yeah, I like him. I like him a lot.
The first thing that pops off the screen to me is his leverage. I mean, he gets he is not going to be a man when it comes to leverage. That's just not going to happen with Trey Pierce. I mean, I saw Trey Pierce at a 45-degree angle several times when he was using a bull rush, or when he was covering like two different gaps, and he's basically one-on-one with the guard or the center, and he's covering both A gaps, or he's covering the A and the B, depending on where he's at. And he does have really good feet. You know who he reminds me of? Reminds me of Mason Graham. Actually, a lot of Mason Graham. Coming out of high school, he is.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at some of the movements he makes, like in a phone booth, where he's one-on-one with with that offensive lineman, and you'll see him take this little side step and kind of cut around somebody like he just crossed him over or something. No, he's not sniper, but and then also on that stunt, you saw one of the stunts in his highlights where, I mean, he gets around there quick.
Mm-hmm.
He's quick on his feet for being 300 pounds. Something else I noticed about Trey. Did you notice how quick his hands are?
Yes. This guy, I mean, he first getting his hands up, first, getting in the airway space, first the passes and that, he does that, and you can be really disruptive with your hands. And this guy, he does that very well. I mean, just, great hands.
I mean, you'll see it where that offensive lineman, he brings those two hands up, and a good one will just keep his hands back, waiting for you to get within striking distance. And what Trey does is, as soon as those hands come up, he swats at it and then picks a shoulder and just uses it and just get in the backfield. So,
yes.
Estimated time of starting for me, I'm going to say 2025.
Okay. For me, I will say 2024 because of the fact of everything we just said about this guy. He's one of those game changers. He's one of those ones that can come in right away and just really, really wreck a whole lineup. He could change your whole game plan because this is the type of guy he is. And imagine him getting in and getting coached up. And I tell you, it's going to be another one of these guys that we've been talking about. It's going to be really hard to keep him off the field. It's going to be something. So I say 2024.
Yeah, it's really too bad for guys like Trey. I mean, it's such a passing type of game now that you've got to be able to rush the passer. You've got to be able to guard those receivers. And because of it, you have to basically be in a nickel at all times. Otherwise, you go back into the early 90s and Trey's going to be on, you're going to have at least, you're running a 3-4, not a nickel version of it. So right now we only have 2 down linemen. So it all depends on, can he pass Grant? Can he pass Graham? Can he, there's guys there. If he can pass them, hey, whoever plays better, they start first, right?
Yeah. That's going to be interesting, though. I can't wait to watch it.
Well, next up, we have Mr. Cameron Brandt. He's an edge / defensive lineman. We don't really know what he's going to be. He's 6'4", 260 pounds, although Greg Biggins of 247 has him at 270. I have no clue where he gets slotted in at Michigan. Every time I can see him playing as a down lineman, I can also see him playing as an edge, a big edge like a Mike Morris or a Aiden Hutchinson. Every time I see a few plays that make me think he's going to be a down lineman, then I catch several where I see him as a big edge. Here's the kind of funny part. Cam plays like Mike Morris style-wise, but he has a motor like Hutch. I mean...
Yes. Great comparisons of both. So already this young man is athletic. That's good mentioning company, great comparison. So he's definitely one that I think will probably be one of those, again, added to a great mix of players that actually Michigan is recruiting for as athletes that can really play multiple positions. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
And if you can describe his play in one word, that word is violent.
I choose violence.
To me.
Yeah.
I mean, you've heard the term a million times. Every game day, Cam Brandt, he woke up and chose violence. I'll tell you that for free right now. He is aggressive. He's not doing it dirty. He plays clean, but he is going all out. You remember how I said Jyaire Hill he's got that dog in him. He just wants it more than everybody else. Yeah. Cam Brandt,
yes.
He's the same way. Estimated time to start. That one's really, really difficult for Cam Brandt. I can't even give a time because I don't know what he's going to play. I don't even know. I mean, is he going to have his hand in the dirt? Is he going to be standing up? I have no idea right now.
Yeah.
But I could see him playing like that swing position, kind of like what they did with Mike Morris.
Yes.
I mean, you saw it a little bit this year and a little bit last year where Mike Morris would have his hand in the dirt on 2 plays, and then, 3 others, you'd see him standing up rushing the passer.
Yes.
So,
yes.
My
so
guess
it's like a wait and
is,
see thing with this young man.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. Last up, we have Mr. Hayden Moore. He's a linebacker at 6'3", 205 pounds. That is very far off of what was listed on 247 and on his huddle page. So 308 tackles and 12 sacks combined between his junior and senior year. I'm sorry, 308? I don't know.
308.
That's insane.
I love his size. First off, I love his size, and not only his size, but his athleticism. He sheds blocks really well. He's someone that moves sideline to sideline, and I like that about him. He's one of those guys that will fall back in coverage need be, and he's one of those talented young men that's going to be pretty awesome to see him develop.
Yeah, and that's the thing is he slides, you're talking about going side to side. He does that very well. And one of the things he worked on, he said, going into his senior year was getting through traffic cleaner, which when you watch his tape, that's exactly what you see. You see him kind of knife through and he
Yes.
picks really good angles. I think he has really good instincts. He also has a very wide base when he gets ready to hit somebody. So when he gets up there by the line, you'll see him spread his feet out, sink his hips, and get better leverage before he hits that guy. Now, the one thing I didn't see is I couldn't find a 40 time for him. Watching him, my guess is around 4.6.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's not a bad assumption at all. I think that he's right in that area. I mean, he looks a little faster. Listen, he plays a little faster. It's like the game really comes to him. And where we said, as far as his movement and that, I mean, he's definitely a talented young man. I'll tell you. So, I mean, as far as spiking, I say spiking players in the ground because I mean, he just, oh my God, he does it. He Goldberg spears people. I don't know if for wrestling fans back when, but Goldberg, he just comes in and just nails you, man. So yeah, excited to see him.
Well, I have him starting as early as, he's got to gain some weight. He needs at least another 20 pounds at only 205 right now. I'm kind of going in between 2025 and 2026.
Yeah, I'm about 20-25 for that very reason, development wise, putting on some weight, which is going to come. He's going to be able to get in there and get to learn. And another athletic I mean, we've been saying this since we've been doing this series, but there's so many athletic guys that this recruiting class is filled with. It's really hard to pick a guy that's not going to succeed here. And he just fits that mold, man. I'm really excited about this particular recruit.
You know what? To wrap up this recruiting class, I can say that it should have been ranked higher, but there were several players that I believe should be ranked higher. But we also had some different things like Jim Harbaugh's dalliance with the NBA, with the NFL. We have
Yes.
Courtney Morgan leaving. They're the number one player in the state of Michigan was just dead set on starting this year and only starting this year. So we lost Dante Moore to UCLA. But overall, I think this is a very good class. Other people are disappointed just because of the numbers. I think the numbers are wrong. I'm going to say this is we'll find out in not that distant of a future how good they really are. Marcus, thank you again for coming on. We're going to work on some other series. I dropped in that we're going to look at trying to do some different things moving forward. And
yes, sir.
I'll see you here next time. And as always,
it's great to be a Michigan Warrior.